Hey traders, this time I didn't forget to turn on that little circle light, so now you can actually see me a little bit, which is always good. I realized when I was watching the video yesterday, I was super dark and I was like, oh man, I have the light right in front of me, I just didn't turn it on. So happens after a day of trading. Sometimes you are still a little bit focused on the market. And talking about being focused on the market, it was just a really slow week for me. My mind was a little bit divided for sure between pullbacks and breakouts, and sometimes I wasn't entirely sure, and then before I knew it, I would miss one of the setups, and I felt like that was kind of a recurring theme for this week. Plus, the markets ever since the week before haven't really been the best for the gap and go strategy. I mean, there's been some really good runners, and a lot of the time I was just a little bit too conservative. So it's definitely my fault. But in the beginning of January, we had huge gap and go spikes right in the beginning of the market. And that would have been the time for me to been a little bit more aggressive. And then now should have been a little bit more conservative, but still sticking to the gap and go strategy, especially when the price is holding near long-term support, because that's what we had today with LPTH. And it could have been the perfect gap and go setup, but my mind was on YTEN, which was pulling back, but it never really bounced that hard. So, we closed out that trade for a small loss. While at the same time, I could have been trading LPTH and just, slammed a really, really nice run to the upside as the support held. It was a 20 to 30% rally, so just tons of opportunity. But again, my attention was a little bit split. So next week, I really want to be focusing on the gap and go strategy more and more. Before I was a little bit more focused on, pullbacks the second half of the morning trading, which is really good too. I like it, but I'm definitely not the one to multitask, and trading is exactly the same for me. So I like to focus on just one thing at a time, and that is 100% either gap and go. So, spiking up right in the beginning, trying to get a 1 minute pullback or something like that, or buying into the breakout, especially if it's breaking past pre-market highs and it has room to run above, or if it pulls back a little bit, but it's really holding its highs around major support, plus it has a catalyst, some good news behind it. Check out the video from yesterday where I talk about exactly the gap and go strategy a little bit more in detail if you have not done so already. And yeah, other than that, I think this weekend I'm gonna spend a little bit more time reviewing my past trades, reviewing these videos, and just thinking, what could I have done today that would have made today, profitable or even more profitable? And that's exactly what I'm going to be focusing on for this video. So I got two tickers I want to talk about with you guys today. Let's dive into the charts now. And don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon too. If you are new, I would love to have you join the channel and then also join the $25,000 challenge. Now let's go to the charts. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about, LPTH. You can see it here, it was on our watch list, $4.9 million volume, which isn't really too much. So that was a big reason I was a little bit hesitant on this one. When we were trading in the morning, or when I was getting ready to possibly trade it, it was under 1 million in dollar volume. So it was looking really, really dry. Something that we're usually looking for, like YTEN, we'll talk about next, it has already $66 million volume. So much more in the sphere of what we're looking for. What I did like though, it was gapping up right around here, 60%. And it was also holding its highs in this area at the $1 pretty well. It only pulled back about 19%. So there was a lot of good looking stuff for this one. It was really trying to retest this $1 area, and every time it retested it, bounced right back up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Buying on any of these dips would have been, kind of sketchy because you don't know if this is going to be the crack to the downside. But once it really maintained its high right here and maybe even broke back to the upside with not a lot of resistance, this would have been probably the time to maybe get into it, join this breakout. And this thing instantly broke up in 3 candles, 18%, kind of consolidated here, made a pretty interesting little 5-minute candle. I was thinking about possibly getting in during this pullback. These have not really been my favorite setups. So I typically have not been trading them unless they are happening within the first 15 or 30 minutes. But this is already after 10, so I typically don't trade these anymore. But if we did, this would have been another 20% rally. So this could have been a really nice move, but we kind of missed it. What I was waiting for was somewhat of a pullback back to maybe 1.25, a quick little pullback, and then see if this thing could continue breaking to the upside. And that's actually what happened. The only problem is, and we got a pretty decent entry, 1.28, maybe a little bit early. We were profitable for a little bit at 1.3, but then it just, kept on pulling back, and I didn't really want to be part of it. I was expecting a bigger pop to the upside. So we took a small loss on this. We took a $7 loss, really not that bad. Basically got out for where we got in. It did pull up a little bit though. But then the rest of the day, it's just been kind of pulling back and consolidating, and it's still kind of in this range. So, not really the worst idea to get out. It is better to, get out as soon as possible and then, wait till the price drops down here and then all of a sudden being down 7% and then getting out for something like that. I think I was just a little too conservative, and then, when I did get my entry, it just didn't get my way. So I'm not complaining. It's just how it is sometimes. It did, let me quickly recap though, it did have 31 million market cap and 25 million float. The float, a little bit on the higher end, but still, under 50 million, which is nice. But I do like to see that kind of 10 million or below float like we had with YTEN at 1.7 million float. So let's talk about that one. Oh yeah, by the way, the catalyst for LPTH was that it was up on good earnings. And right down here, you can see their Q2 EPS, let me go back, beat the estimate. So that's always a good thing to see. Just really not that much activity with this one. I was kind of having higher hopes, but this would have been really the one to trade, not so much YTEN. And when this thing was really holding in this area, it was looking really good. Tried to crash down here, just couldn't do it. So buying anywhere on this bounce back to the upside could have really, really been the ticket. You also don't see too much selling volume in this area anymore. So yeah, oh well, we missed that one. The next one, and this is the one we kind of all traded together in the live stream, was YTEN 66. Like I said, $1 million volume. This thing's got a lot of volume. A lot of people are trading this. This means since they only have 1.7 million shares outstanding, this thing was traded. Almost all the shares were traded about 40 times. That's crazy. That means there's a lot of movement here, a lot of volume. These things can rip with such a small amount of shares outstanding, and then the market cap 18 million. So this thing, lots of potential. The big problem though was, one, it was a bit overextended, already up 100%. And the reason I say it's a bit overextended is because pre-market it was already having a lot of issues kind of maintaining that spike that it had yesterday. From the highs right around here, it only ran up about another 23%. And at 14.69, there is a major resistance here on the long term. We have this huge gap down area, and we're basically right in the middle of it. You knew there was a lot of resistance to break through, and then there was no news. There was absolutely zero news about this one. The latest article, I think, was on the 31st, where they regained NASDAQ compliance because they did a reverse split, which put their stock price back above $1, which really isn't a great reason for your stock price to go up. The one way I could have traded this one, and I was kind of saying it when we were going live, is I drew a little line here. I said we were making a nice little bull flag. There's probably a good chance that this might break out of here, and then we could maybe sell into the spike. This would have been really, really quick, and I don't know if I would have executed this right, but there's a good chance that we could have made maybe 7% on this one. But again, there was a lot of risk, and I didn't really feel comfortable trading this one. If anything, maybe I could have waited for a little bounce back in this area, did a little bounce trade, but ultimately I think the best way to trade this one would have just been not to trade this one. We did have this little support line bounce right here at about 11, which was an okay entry. I did not mind the entry. The problem is the bounce was really, really weak. So we got this first bounce about 3%, and then we kind of consolidated in this area. And this is when I went ahead and ended the live stream, because it was already past 10, which is usually when I want to end the live streams. And unfortunately, we had one more dip down here, and I did not want to see us break 10.8, because later in the day we had to break past 10.8 and this thing just flew down, and I was kind of worried about that. So when I saw it was, I think, like 10.74, I guess it was, because that's where I sold, it was just getting chipped away, and I was like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be part of it. Unfortunately, that was almost the perfect low, and then this thing bounced up 5%, which is fine because that's from a bit lower from where we entered. So we entered around 11. So from our entry, it bounced up, let's see here, about 3%. So, a perfect exit would have only landed us about 3%. So either way, this was kind of a losing trade. And I'm happy the way I traded it. I avoided a lot of downside because you don't want to be part of one of these flash crashes to the downside. It's just really, really dangerous. This one, you would have had an opportunity to get out again, but you don't always have that opportunity. And then, from here, it just pulled back another 11%. So, maybe buying this support area at 9.5 could have been a good ticket. You see that this was former breakout territory, so that's always a really good indicator, but we just didn't do it. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to write that off as maybe a missed opportunity, but I am usually done around trading at this time. But hey, you can't get them all. And next week, I really just want to start fresh. I feel like I've been a little bit split between certain trading styles, and I really want to focus on this gap and go strategy, really focus my trades on it. I might do some new reallocation on my account. I'm not really sure yet. I need to think about a few more things. But again, the best thing you can do, like always, is just be prepared for the next time, the next trading day. And the best way to do that is just constantly review your past trades, restudy the pattern, and rewatch the videos. And that's what I'm going to be doing. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't done so already. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I would love to have you join the channel and the challenge. Till next time, guys, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.